My father, as a child, loved to read, especially sea stories. He was a good student. He used to talk about reading at night under bed with a flashlight. I talked about the central church that he went to, and being a very progressive church, a very long history in that church in terms of its being very progressive. He spoke of Mary McLeod Bethune speaking there. He was part of he was active in the Young People's League, which I guess later was sort of marked as one of those communist front organizations. He talked about it being a very exciting church, a very lively pulpit. This introduction to ideas came from there. Working the whole sort of this notion of being a champion for integration came from there. Also became active in terms of the Ford strike, sort of learning about that and being sort of energized around all those sorts of ideas. When he graduated from high school, he had no intention of going to college. And he started working on the crew that was moving the church. They're enlarging the street in front of the church, and so there's this very large church. It's a very big project, having to move it back maybe 6 or 10 feet or something. But during the nighttime, he started taking classes from Wayne State it was part of the New Deal program. And then there was a guy from Albion College was doing some recruiting around. Albion College being a Methodist school, Central Church being a Methodist church. And somebody recommended my father from the church, and partly on a scholarship, but also money from his older sister, Beatrice, who was a nurse by this time, allowed him to go to college. He went to Albion College, where he majored in philosophy, but also became even stronger, sort of involved in the pacifist movement. The ideas around pacifism had already been sort of brewing in his head in high school. But he, as a junior at Albion, a junior at Albion, he won a state contest for a speech on peace, and it was printed up in the Michigan Christian Advocate. I just want to read a little bit of it because I find there's a sort of cogency in the prose, but also in the thought that I think is rather impressive for a 20-year-old. And it also, I think, helps sort of frame the ideas here, which I think are helping to sort of frame his life. War is not a means by which a preconceived society is realized. War does not bring about. War creates. And the society that emerges from a war inherits the theory of war. It is a society based upon force. Nor is peace forthcoming because force breeds force. And until this force philosophy is supplanted by one of cooperation, peace is impossible. Reasoning that is not built upon a firm, burning conviction is little more than mental calisthenics and is swept away by the first flutter of the emotions. Herein lies the tragedy of the whole peace movement. It does not rest upon the personal resistance to war, nor is it necessarily against war, but for peace. Peace will only be attained through war, the militaries tell us. And so this sweeping emotional peace panic may, by a jujitsu twist of the wrist, become the greatest impetus for war propaganda. What then do I offer? I plead for peace education. I demand disarmament and open diplomacy. I take my stand for arbitration and cooperation. The hope for peace today lies not in organization, but in individual integrity, in a loyalty that will be constant amid change, an integrity that will stand defiant, unmoved by pain or pressure. Such integrity accepted the deadly hemlock cup for academic freedom. Such integrity endured the cross.